Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Monday, March 3rd, 2025. We're going to take a look at SPY on the daily time frame and the 65. We're going to do something a little bit different. We'll go around to the other indices on the daily time frame. We'll also check out BITO, the Bitcoin ETF, and MJ as well, just to see how those are doing. Right now, I do think the market goes a little bit higher, could bounce, and we're getting a B wave right now. We'll go through that. So we'll let this play out. We did scale into puts, our short positions again, but I want to scale into more as price goes to the upside. Now, it does not have to. Okay. Know that, by the way, we're doing this intraday about 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube member. It's 99 cents, and you get the Discord, trade alerts, all that good stuff. So back into it. We had this, let's just go ahead with our analysis here. We have SPY. We have a good resistance, support from the election, all this support here. So that's why we got the bounce there. Now, notice it wasn't quite a back test. We did have a back test on this spike here, but not this time yet. Okay, so this could fail from this point. It did retest the 50 moving average, rejected off of it twice. So there's nothing that says this market can't continue straight down from here. All right, I figured we'd get a little bit more of a complex move here. I'm looking for a zigzag, a 5-3-5, and we'll look at that on the 65 so we can hash this out to see what's happening. But you know, this is the 8 EMA on a typical like wave 3, for example. This is a wave 1, and we're bouncing into a wave 2, which is usually a pretty steep zigzag. So we still could get up here to about the 601, 602 area and back test, but it doesn't have to. This is a trend indicator. If this is more bearish than I think, then we're going to reject right off here. We're never going to look back. Okay, we're going to continue down to our targets, that 565 that we've been talking about for ages. So I do think price actually gets a little bit deeper, probably 555 or even a little bit more, and I'll show you where I get that from. Actually, I'll do it on this daily, because we want to focus more on the daily time frame. Since we're in a downtrend, moves are going to be more volatile, and the daily time frame is going to be the most important. All right, let's go to this board here. And so let's dig in a little bit closer. We do have some time and price relationships coming up later this week. We'll see where the price is when getting into that area. So I'm going to measure from the top of this move. I think wave 1 is in. So the top of wave 1 to the bottom of wave 1, that gives us that length. And if we're rejecting now from this point, that's really bearish, and we get all the way down to the 162 extension, 1618, and I'm going to make it green because we'll get a bounce. So that would be our target as of right now if we are rejecting off of that point here. But if we have a steeper bounce, you see how that moves, that target moves. So let's see what happens. And if price just continues to move down to those targets, that's fine. We're already in our swings. I just wanted more of a move there. And so I wanted a higher bounce so we could scale into more puts. But the market doesn't always allow those things to happen. Let's clean this up and leave the 50, 60, and 70 retracement. And those be resistance at red. So I don't think we quite made it to the 50%. So a little bit of unfinished business. we're rejecting off of the 382. That's really shallow. So again, we don't have to get up here, but this, I think it's more likely that we get the 50% or 60%, which would bring us up to that 601 area for a bigger bounce. And if that's the case, then we have our target there, and we'd be looking for the 551 zone there. Okay, so that's a big move to the downside. Now let's go to the 65. On the 65 minute, all we're doing right now is back testing that wedge. All right, so we should hold on to this spot right here, and then have our second move. This looks like it is probably an A, B, C move right here. If we break down from this, it's a fake break. This wedge is breaking down, and you can expect that move to go much heavier to the downside. Otherwise, if we hold this point right here, it's just a back test of the breakout wedge, and we go higher at this point. So we'll kind of see what's happening. Things like Tesla are really at a low right now. So, if this starts to move to the upside, then I think that could drag the market up with it, along with Google, those guys that have been hammered so hard. Now I know that Nvidia is dragging the market down, but that's likely going to be oversold. I think that's going to cause a positive divergence. So we'll see if this continues. Otherwise, let this roll out. All right, let's go to the Qs, and we'll go on the daily. So again, we had this boxed in area. All we did was back test it, and again, we're pushing off of the 8 EMA. This could continue. If you see this trend line break, then we're going to continue lower and faster. So it's going to be a big move to the downside. That's all there is to say about that. Otherwise, you have the 50 and the 20 moving average up there. If this level holds, we want to see for a higher bounce, the bulls want to see 504 hold for sure. We're just past it right now, but you want to see that level hold ultimately. And let's just go to the 65 on this one real quick. See, not even this bounce didn't even make it up to the 382. So such a shallow bounce. If it's done, ABC is done. Okay, some people could argue that this is a 1, 2, 3 that we closed on Friday, 4 pullback today, and then 5, and now we're pulling back for a 1, 2 setup. I have an AB, but this thing could go all the way down and test that trend line again and still be a corrective move. So let's just let this play out. If we break down the lows, then we know something else is happening, and you can start pulling off some of those calls if you have any. But for now, this is really just a AB or a 1-2 setup, and we're looking for a higher retracement. All right, and we're only, let's pull out the retracement tool from the top of that move to the bottom. We're only just now tagging the 62% retracement here. It's a perfect setup. So don't get too bearish at this point. Let this play out. And again, let's go back to the daily. All right, SMH. Led by Nvidia, getting into the support area. There's a lot of chop in here, so this is a zone clearly. If this continues to break lows, then our next big zone here would be down to 213, 215 zone. If it lets go there, then we have a big area, and always in between, there's always, some levels in between these zones. So it could come down here to move back up. But I think this level at about 225 or so should hold if we're going to bounce. But I am bearish SMH more than the rest of the market. I don't think this is complete. I think this still might be a wave 3 heading in here. So we'll see. We'll see if we get our bounce, but this should resume with small bounces. It didn't even tag the 8 EMA yet. It's super bearish. IWM, same kind of thing here. Now, I drew this wedge. So if we do get our bounce, I think IWM, might be forming some sort of daily time frame wedge, and when the rest of the market decides to bounce in a much bigger way, I think this one might even break out from a bullish wedge. There's no telling what this can do, but if it breaks down from here, then see ya. So I kind of have these bullish setups, and I want to see if they fail or not. So we talked about this being an expanding move here, and I said it's going to go lower. I think that's the case. But again, if these hold, this is a bull flag. All right. Again, we're in a downtrend, so don't get all bulled up here. But I do think that this is just a back test, and we go lower. But I want to have these setups here just so you can get both perspectives. The VIX. Now the VIX is holding well. There's definitely a range top here that maybe does make a new high here. If we start to break out from, we'd call it $23, then this is likely headed up to 28, and the market is going to go lower at that point. But it's holding up well from this breakout. All right. It could just go back down to retest again, but it's just holding that 8 EMA just like the rest of the market. The momentum is up at this point. So the market could just break down directly from here. We'll see what happens. BITO. Looking at this from the daily time frame, looks like it hit good support. I don't have a whole lot of things drawn on here. It's a good support area that we'll keep an eye out. Kind of a big zone. So you have this, I drew this as a large zone. You have this chop here, this consolidation area, a top, a bottom, chopped through trade. You could draw a triangle there, and so you have a volume node in there, support and support. So not quite there, but this looks to me very similar to SMH, where it's you have this possible 3-wave move, and that can be done, but it really looks incomplete where we get a wave 4 in here and then a 5. That could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, for example. So if price breaks down from the 19 to 18 area, then this is starting to fail, and we'll probably test the next level at about 16 at that point. MJ constantly, actually I have to buy some shares today. They had a stock reverse split, and so all of my trend lines are gone. So I have to redraw these, but it's really in a beautiful setup. Let's draw on a line here. And I've been talking about this thing over and over. This is a generational buy, I believe. And in the meantime, we'll collect dividends on this play, and we'll buy more the lower it goes. I believe this setup looks complete. Possible 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it's possible, and all of our indicators here. I should have went, and you have a positive divergence. Speaking of indicators, I should have did that on SPY. So we've been focusing on this a little bit more. So let's jump into these indicators. We have the negative divergence there. Daily time frame, we were oversold, so we got our bounce. Now this could continue lower. It could chop down low here in the bearish territory, but we didn't even get back to the 50 line, excuse me, and that's your midpoint. So you saw this trend with the RSI up there. We broke down. I do think we'll back test it and possibly get up to the 50, 55 area. And this is starting to give us a buy signal here. Again, this could oscillate to the downside if price is going to go directly that way. So those two scenarios I think are most likely. I don't see any real bullishness in this. Momentum's down, and if this wants to, you see the histogram's kind of going up here. Really, this leader line could just backtest the MACD line if it needs to, but continuing to the downside. And on the 65 note in this. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. Just digging in a little bit closer. So far, holding on to that wedge, the breakout, possible ABC. And you can see that also. By the way, we have a positive divergence. It's heading to the upside. We're still in bearish territory. I do suspect that we get all the way up here to the 0 line. All right, maybe even just dip above it and then head back lower. But this, I do think, has to play out. We had the positive divergence there, and then you had this RSI. You see the price action get tight, and we drew these lines here. It's just backtesting, so it looks very similar to this. This is heading lower. You have the cross, but I think that's indicating that we had their sell signal there. We were just overbought here for the time being in the near term on the lower time frames, like the 15-minute, and we just needed to reset that. So I think this is going to hold. And then I think our next target is up to the 601 area, the 600 resistance right here. All right. That's what we got for you today. Thanks for joining us here. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. And we have tons of links down low if you want any of those tutorials and things like that. So check it out. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.